Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Raptor X here with Good Clean Gaming RX, and today we are back once again in Blender. Today we're going to be seeing about making a bucket. So we're going to be using the array modifier with this one again. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add an object here. So I'm going to add an empty here because we know we're going to need one of those anyway. So we'll just go ahead and add one of those right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll add a mesh. And I'm just going to use a plane on this one. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll set up this modifier and kind of work with it from there. I do want to get most of our bucket size sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and we'll tab into here. And I'm going to scale this one on the Y to kind of give us our bucket sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll select this edge and we'll scale that. There we go, something like that. And then we'll be able to just duplicate this all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll move this one out on the Y. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and import my image since I don't have one of those yet. We're going to go ahead and we'll Shift A and add an image. And we're going to be under downloads and it's going to be under bucket. Bucket reference, there we go. So that's kind of what I'm looking to make, is something sort of like that. I'm going to scale this down slightly to kind of match what we're looking for. There we go. And we'll mess with scale a little bit as we get as we do some more with this. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll start adding our modifiers to this. So we're going to add a generate modifier, an array, and instead of using the relative offset, we're going to use an object offset, and we're going to use this empty. There we go. And I'm going to go up to like 12. Let's go 16. Hello? Well, it's gone and disappeared on me. Let's go ahead and we'll move this back here. There should be a snap. There we go. Snap selection to cursor. There we go. Alright. Let's turn this back on. Oh, goodness. That's not what we're looking for either. Alright. Let's try this again. We're gonna tab into here and select all of this. I'm gonna grab this and move it out on the X. Oops, let's go on the Y head. There we go. And I'm going to bring this down and we'll just do like 2. There we go. And we'll try this again. So it's definitely working, but the problem is that it's multiplied that out from there. So we definitely need to do this on this location. I'm going to go ahead and we'll get back into here. And we're going to grab all of this. There we go. And we're going to move it. There we go. Alright, so we're going to snap this again. There we go. We'll put it back there. Alright. And then we'll tab out of this and we're just going to go 2 on this one. Alright, so it's made it much bigger for some reason. Ooh, that is not the effect that I'm looking for. This worked so nicely the other day as well. Alright. Let's go ahead and snap this back to cursor. And we've definitely got some really weird stuff going on here. I'm gonna have to do some experimenting on this one because it's not acting the way that I'm expecting it to. We don't want the relative offset. I wonder if it's because I haven't applied scale or something. That might be it. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll just delete this one then. And we're going to go ahead and we'll add a plane. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and we'll add the modifier. Generate array. And instead of doing an offset like that, we're going to do a object offset. And we're going to use our empty. Oh, hang on. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was trying to use this one. Yeah, I was trying to use that one. Alright. Alright. There we go. That's got it. Alright, I was just using the wrong modifier, the wrong object. So let's go ahead and we're going to go 16 for this. And then we can go ahead and we're going to rotate this. And we go 22.5. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and we can get into here. There we are. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll get this one, and no, sorry, we'll get this one, and we'll scale this until we get our corners to meet. Okay, and we'll do the same here. There we go. And that's more or less got our edges lined up the way that we want them. Doesn't have to be perfect in this case because I am still looking at, you know, a wooden one. There's going to be some not quite perfectly matching. And then let's go ahead and we'll grab this face and we're going to extrude it. To make our bucket. Let's make it a little taller. There we go. Alright, so that's where we start to get the really wonky. There you go, you got to scale both of them to be able to do that like that. There we go. And that still maintains that. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll tab into here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this one out on the y-axis here. To kind of give us, yeah, that's a little too aggressive. There we go, that's something close. And then we're going to go ahead and scale this one on the X. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll grab this one because it looks like it's not scaling quite proportionally there. And we'll scale this one on the X as well. And there we go. Perfect. Alright, so that's got that. I'm going to go ahead and we'll add in another circle. And we're going to fill this one with an n-gon because I don't need the triangle fan there. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll scale this one to fit inside the bucket. Oops. We're going to go 16. There we go. And then we're going to scale this one to fit inside the bucket nicely. And then I'm going to rotate this by rotate by 12. .25 equals 12 degrees. Alright, I think that's going to be close enough. I'm going to bring this up slightly. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and tab into here and I'm just going to extrude this up on the Z slightly. There we go. And I'm going to put this into wireframe here so that we can kind of see exactly where that's at. There we go. And these would kind of overlap a little bit. Oh. That's kind of weird. There we go. Alright. Let's scale this. There we go, just like that. Alright. Because we want those to kind of, you know, fit into like a chink or something in the inside of that. Or a notch. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. We want to apply this modifier, I think, at this point. Either that or we'll just add these pieces secondarily. Because I do need a couple of those that are you know, straight up and downs or extras. They're not the same as all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll go back out to solid here. I know there's a way to do this. No, that's not it either. Alright. Let's take a look here then. And we'll just see. There we go. First select the object in object mode, go to the modifier properties, find the modifier you want to apply, click its drop down and select the apply option. Hover your mouse over the modifier and press shortcut Control A. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll go here and we'll go back to object mode and we'll go, there we go, and we'll hover over this and hit Control A. There we go. Alright, so that's applied the array modifier and we now have all of these pieces baked in. I'm going to go ahead and we'll grab both of those and we'll extrude these. There we go. And that gives us our little tabs for the rope to go through. And then I'm going to go ahead and yeah, there we go. We need a boolean cut for this to work properly. I think I'm just going to leave it and we'll just kind of fake it with the rope going through. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this one and that one and there we go. We'll join those. And I'm going to rename this and I'm going to call this one bucket. That's something that I haven't been doing very well, is properly naming my stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll grab this one and move it off on the X here. Alright, and then I'm going to delete this one so that we don't get that one confused. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to try something here. Because there's obviously some pretty wild ways that you can use the modifier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a circle here, and we're just going to go down to like 6. Yeah, something like that. Let's go out to 8. We probably don't even need that many. Let's go down to 6. And then we're going to scale this. And I'm going to attempt to make this rope. Obviously this is a low poly barrel, so probably doesn't need to actually be that detailed. We do this with a texture. And I guess now that I think about this, I should probably make the bands on here first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab, you know what, no, okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll add a circle. We want this one to be 16. And we don't want this one filled. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. We'll move it over on the X. Actually, you know what? Now we've done this backwards. There we go. Let's go ahead and we'll snap this one back to the cursor. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and we'll add our circle in. There we go. And I'm going to scale this one. There we go. And rotate it on the Z until we get everything pretty much line up there. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and extrude this. Oops, there we go. All right. There we go. I'm going to extrude scale. There we go. And then I'm going to use, there we go. Perfect. There's one band. That one's even maybe a little bit too big. So let's go ahead and we'll scale this down. There we go. And then let's go ahead and we'll select those and those. And let's move this out to wireframe. There we go. It's going to be the challenge is getting. There we go. So it's a way to do it. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll shift D to duplicate and we'll move this up and then we'll scale it. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll add that third one in as well. So there we go. Move that back to solid. Perfect. All right, so there are our bands. Now we can go ahead and we'll just move this object out of the way. Let's do this on the Y actually. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a modifier to this. We're going to use the array modifier. And instead of using that relative offset, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use an object offset. And we're going to go ahead and we'll apply an empty. We'll add an empty. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll use this one. There we go. It's not really doing what we want it to. Oops. Yeah, alright, that's definitely not doing what I want it to. And we're using the correct one here. So I'm gonna, there we go, we'll move that one back. And then I'm gonna grab into this one or tab into this one. And it's still not doing it. We're definitely still getting that scaling and movement. So let's bring this down to just 1. Nope. Alright, well, we've gone on for long enough with this, so I'm just gonna delete these, and we'll just go with a close enough rope. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll add a mesh. We're gonna go for a circle, and I'm gonna go for 5. And we're gonna bring this radius way down, and we're gonna fill it. So let's go ahead and we'll bring that down to closer to a rope diameter. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll tab into here, and we're going to extrude this. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll bring this one back to the cursor. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll rotate this one. On the x-axis, 90 degrees. Just on the y, there we go. That's really weird actually, because it's... There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll tab into that. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to add a whole bunch of loop cuts here. We're going to need at least... Let's go with like that many. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll just drag this one up until we get relatively close to where we want that to be. There we go. And then I'll grab these two. Something like that. That's going to be problematic. Alright. We need these to like mirror rotate. So I'm just going to grab this one. There we go. There we go. Perfect. All right, so that's kind of given us a little bit of a rope shape there. I'm gonna fake this one as well. And we're just gonna there we go. It's not quite right. So this is kind of one of those things where if I had a little bit more time, I'd experiment on this a little bit more, but for the sake of getting this done in our time limit today, I'm just gonna do like that. There we go. And you could conceivably have this, I guess, a metal handle as well, that was run through there. It'd be a little different though, because you wouldn't have those stoppers on there. But I think for a low poly, we're good with that. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to add a texture here quickly. And we're going to make this one a nice rope color, say like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add, let's go out to wireframe here. There we go. And I'm going to select those. There we go. And we're going to get, there we go. Oops. Nope, that's not what I was looking for. All right. There we go. Let's go ahead and we'll scale this back out, and I'm just going to use orthographic view. There we go. And oh, that's why we've got a barrel, or we've got this band on the inside of it. So, all right. I'm going to grab that, and then we're going to deselect. Actually, you know what? All right. There we go. Selection modifiers. Selection modes. There we go. Box, circle, select linked. There we go. That are connected to each other. Let's jump there. And we'll take a look quickly. This is a great resource. Select similar, select, there we go, interior. There's all sorts of, there we go, select linked. There we go. And we can go Control L. Disconnected overlapping parts. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll go here and we'll deselect this one and then we'll just go Control L. Oops, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to go to face. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and we'll select this one. That's not working the way I wanted it to, so there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll just add these materials right off the bat. So I'm going to give this that steel band sort of shade to it. There we go. And I'm going to call this one band. There we go, and assign. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll grab this one and assign, and grab this one and assign. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and add another material. There we go. And we'll call this one wood. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all, and then we'll deselect. Oops. Oh, that's right. Alright, we've got a little bit of a conundrum then, I guess, on this one. I should have done this. There we go. We'll do that. And then there we go. And then we'll come back here to band and assign that one. And assign. There we go. And assign. Perfect. Oops. Perfect. Alright. So now we can come back here to the wood and we can change this appearance slightly. Let's make it a nice dark wood. There we go. Alright. And we'll turn this back to material preview. There we go. Alright. And then we're going to get into here and Control L to select all of those. And we'll come back and assign that. Perfect. Alright. That's how we want to do that, just like that. Alright. And then we're going to go over to rendered and we'll kind of see. There we go. And that is how you build a bucket. So thanks for all of you for watching, and if you're interested in seeing more of these, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care everyone. Ta-ta.